Welcome to a special segment of ACRP TV. My name is Michael Causey. I'm the editor-in-chief here at ACRP, and we're talking to different professionals in the clinical trial workforce. Today, we've got with us Aldona DiSandro, who's the Associate Clinical Research Associate with Merck, or one of the many of them, and she's got a really cool story to tell. Aldona, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Michael. I'm excited to share my story with you guys.
All right, we really appreciate it. So let's jump right in. Talk about, if you could, kind of your overall role. And I know this is sort of a silly question in a way, but as much of a typical day as you can describe.
Yeah, definitely. So as an associate clinical research associate with Merck, I kind of do the same thing as a regular clinical research associate, but we are the main contacts with the site that we perform our clinical research at. So I sit on the sponsor side. I work with Merck and our study teams that run the trials, while I also am connected to the sites and the doctors and research staff that we recruit our patients with, and they actually run the protocols on site. So typical day in the life, I would say half and half. It's about 50% travel of going to those sites, meeting with the research staff, reviewing how they're doing, the site's progress, the patient progress, patient data, all of their documents and that kind of thing. While the other 50% of the time is spent in my home office, running reports, writing reports on the site's progress, meeting with my team and discussing how the study is going, how the site is recruiting patients, if they're meeting all of their milestones correctly, and also participating in those, meetings with the team to give my advice and comments from when I am on site observing how the site is doing. So kind of a 50-50 balance. When I am on site, it's a lot of science-based work. I have to know the protocol and the therapeutic area, the drug that we're investigating, while when I'm at home, it's a little bit more of that corporate 9-to-5 kind of gig. So it's a good mix of both. I would say 50-50 between the two.
It sounds very engaging. So how did you get into this field? Not many people know about clinical research, and that might be changing a little bit with COVID, but how did you get into the field?
Yeah, and I was one of those that didn't know much about clinical research. When I was in college, I was a science major. I've always loved science growing up. I was a chemistry and biology major in undergrad. And I initially thought I wanted to go to medical school. I enjoyed science and I enjoyed the clinical side of medicine and interacting with patients and kind of doing that treatment with trying to help people stay healthy and get better. As I went through my undergrad career, I kind of realized that wasn't the path that I wanted to take, and I wasn't really as interested in it as anymore. But I still really enjoyed science and I really enjoyed that clinical space. So I kind of put some feelers out. I know I talked to a lot of people at school, a lot of my professors and advisors. I also made connections with neighbors and other people that I had known that were in the science field, kind of just seeing what other options were out there, because when I had set my sights on medical school, that was really the only thing that I had been focused on. I ended up stumbling across clinical research from a neighbor of mine who had worked for a company. They said it's a great way to kind of get that balance of science and that corporate job like I was kind of looking for. I know I didn't want to be in a lab doing research, but I knew I still wanted to be on, that science-based job role. So I ended up looking into different pharmaceutical companies, into the clinical space. I applied for an internship, a summer internship with Merck's clinical trial operations team, where I got to learn a lot about clinical research, a lot that I didn't know. I knew nothing going into it, and I learned about the whole process. I learned about different job roles that I could potentially take, and just about the company in general, clinical research as an industry. So that was a really great opportunity. I ended up coming back to Merck as a clinical trial coordinator after I graduated, where I worked with CRAs, so the job role I'm in now, and the rest of the study team to kind of bring those documents and deliverables to the sites. So kind of a step below where I'm at now, but still a little bit of a site-facing job role. So I got to see that first on a first-hand basis. And then I moved into the ACRA role that I'm in now and kind of have more of an exposure to the site and the science aspect of our studies. So kind of a little bit, I was a little bit confused, just like everybody. And I'm hoping that, again, like you mentioned with COVID and the trials that are going on and everything, that it'll bring a little bit more awareness to the clinical research space, because it is a really great mix of that if, students are looking for that balance.
And you said a moment ago how you stumbled into it. You don't know how many people have used the word stumble with me about getting into this career. So you are not alone.
Yeah, no, I've heard that many times. Right.
So a second ago, you talked about kind of your day-to-day role and what you do. Tell me what about this job you're passionate about. I mean, I'm assuming you like the job. It sounds like you do. Tell me
Oh
what you
yeah.
like about it.
Yeah, I've been in this job role for about 6 months now. And I think what I'm most passionate about, like I kind of mentioned when I was kind of thinking about medical school, I was passionate about seeing just people in general healthy and happy and, being cured from these terrible diseases that we see every day. And I think Merck has a great pipeline of drugs and, treatments that are out there. And it's really, really a cool experience to see the patients that are getting better from these drugs that we are creating and researching. And especially with our large population of oncology trials, we see a lot of people that are benefiting from these drugs that we are putting out there. And I think that is a really cool thing to see my work and my team's work on a firsthand basis changing people's lives. I think that's a really, really cool aspect of my job that not a lot of people can say that they
Yeah.
change people's lives on the daily basis. So I think that's really kind of what drives my job behind me. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. It's a higher calling. It's amazing. All right. So final thing before I let you go, I'm going to ask you to think back to yourself a couple years ago, or you're talking to, younger people now, high school, college, they're looking at the workforce, they're ready to stumble into something. What would you say to them about looking into clinical research? Should they check it out?
Oh, definitely. I would say I've only worked for one company since I graduated college, but I mean, I'm assuming that most of them are similar. There are so many different avenues once you get your foot in that door within clinical research or pharmaceutical industry in general. I interact with so many different job roles on a daily basis that even if I am in this job role and I end up, wanting to go in a different direction in a few years, there are so many options out there. But it is just a great opportunity to learn about the pharmaceutical and clinical research industry. I would highly suggest, talking with, like I said, I kind of stumbled upon it through discussing with a neighbor, kind of just throw out some connections, try and network, see if you know anybody who knows somebody who knows somebody that can put you in contact with somebody that works in a clinical research space. I know I get reached out to a lot from people I went to school with, people that were a few years younger than me, and I am more than happy to talk to them about what I do and to encourage them to apply for specific positions or internships like I did. So don't be afraid to reach out to people. I'm assuming most people would be as excited to talk about it as I am. So definitely reach out, network, and give it a shot. Again, there's so many different job roles. If you end up not liking one, you can move around until you find something that you enjoy.
Perfect. This is a very uplifting story. Aldona DiSandro, I want to thank you very much for joining us, giving us your time, and I think inspiring some other people out there to check this field out. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
This has been our ACRP TV segment on a day in the life of an associate clinical research associate. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.